Hi, and thank you so much for visiting my channel. Today, we are going to talk about graphs and equations. And my goal is to have you look at any graph and be able to write it as an equation in slope-intercept form. I might add in a little context just to have you understand it a little bit better, but I think by the end of this video, you will be able to do that. Here we go. So here is our first graph, and our goal is to put it into an equation. So the first thing I want you to do is look at your line. And if it's going up to the right, that means it's going to have a positive slope. It's going to go up. If it's going down to the right like this, that would mean it's going to have a negative slope. So if you look at our line now, you should be able to tell that it's going up to the right, which means it's going to have a positive slope. Okay, so when you're writing your equation, the first thing you want to do is write y equals. That is how our equations start when they're in slope-intercept form. The next thing that I want you to do is I want you to look at the y-axis, and I want you to circle the spot on the y-axis that your line crosses. So for us, it would be right here. And that is the number 1, 2, 3. Our line crosses at 3, at positive 3. So out to the right side of your equation, this part right here, that is our y-intercept, and ours crosses at 3. So we're going to put plus 3, which means positive 3. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is figure out our slope. So if you look at your line, I want you to circle the next part up here where you see that your line exactly crosses a horizontal and a vertical line. So for us, that would be right here, okay? That line crosses this horizontal line here, and it crosses this vertical line here. It is right in the middle of an intersection, okay? The next thing I want you to do is draw a little line up and then draw a line to the right. We're making a little triangle. And we're going to count how many units up we went and how many units to the right we went. So if you look at this, we went 1, 2, 3 units up, and we went 1 unit to the right. So our slope is going to be the number 3 over 1. And whenever you have fractions that are over the number 1, that is just equal to the numerator, which is 3. This kind of means like 3 wholes. 3 wholes would just be 3 in general. So our slope over here is going to be 3. And then we're going to put in our x. So that is our equation based on this line. You could also think about this like I have 3 jelly beans. Each hour, I get 3 more jelly beans. So I would start right here at 3, and then each hour that I went by, we would go up 3 more jelly beans. Up 3, up 3, up 3. And as we went on with hours, we would continue to get more jelly beans. So that is kind of what it means in context. Let's do another one, and I'll tell you kind of what the context means, and then we'll do a couple more without any context. Okay, here is our second problem, and the first thing I want you to do is notice that this line goes down to the right. So that means it's going to have a negative slope. As we go to the right of our graph, our line goes down. Whereas the last one that we did, as we went to the right, our graph went up. Okay, after that, we are going to write y equals, because that is how our equations start in slope-intercept form. And the next thing I want you to do is look and see where this line crosses the y-axis. So it looks like this line crosses right here down at -2. So -2 is going to be our y-intercept, and that goes right here. I'm going to write -2 for -2. Okay, now we just need to figure out our slope. So I want you to look at this line and circle another part of the line where it crosses a horizontal and a vertical line. So if you look at it, our line crosses perfectly right there, okay? It's right in the middle of a line going this way vertically and a line going this way horizontally, right there. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at our original line, and I am gonna count how many units down and how many units to the right to get to that next spot. And it looks like I go down 1 unit and then go to the right 2 units. So our slope is going to be 1/2, and we can't forget that it is a negative slope. So I'm gonna put a negative out in front. So that part of the equation goes right here, and then we put in our x. So in order to figure out the slope, what you do is you start at your original point, and to get to the next point, you are either gonna go up to the right or you're gonna go down to the right. I always want you to go to the right. If you go up to the right, you know your line has a positive slope. If you go down to the right, like we just did, you know your line is going to have a negative slope, okay? A scenario that would go with this is like, I am $2 in debt. Every hour I spend $0.50 or 50 cents. So I would start at -$2 because I'm in debt, and then every hour that goes by, my line is going to keep going down because I just keep spending money. Let's just do 2 more examples, but I'm not going to tell you any context to go with it. Here we go. Here is our next problem. And as you can see, it goes down to the right. So that means it has a negative slope. We just want to keep that in mind when we're writing our equation. So the first thing we're going to write is y equals, and then we're going to circle where this line crosses the y-axis, which is going to be right here at the number 1, 2, 3, 4. And it is a positive 4, so I'm going to write +4. The next thing we're going to do is look at the right side of our line, and I want to circle another spot where my line perfectly crosses a horizontal and a vertical line on my graph. So I'm looking, and it looks like it perfectly crosses right there. Then I'm going to make my little triangle, and I'm going to count the units down and the units over in order to get to my next spot. So it looks like I go 2 units down and 1 unit over. So this is going to be 2 over 1, and I can't forget that it is negative. And 2 over 1 is the same as 2 wholes. So -2 over 1 is going to equal just -2. Whenever you have a 1 as your denominator, we can just remember that that means 2 wholes, and then we can take that off because that means the same as 2. So -2 over 1 is the same as -2, and that is my slope, -2x. Let's do one more. All right, here is my last line. And if you want to pause the video and see if you can make your own equation and then check back to see if we got the same answer, feel free. Here we go. So right away, I noticed the slope of this line is going to be positive. So the number here that's going to go in front of my x, that is going to be positive. So if I start off my equation, I'm going to write y equals, and then I'm looking at my line, and I'm going to circle the spot where my line crosses the y-axis, which is right down here at -1. So that is going to be the number out here. The next thing I'm going to do is circle another part of my line that perfectly crosses a horizontal and vertical line on my graph. And it looks like that for me is right here. Then I'm going to figure out how this first point got to this second point, and we went up to the right. It looks like we went up 1 unit, to the right 3 units. 1, 2, 3. Make sure you're always counting the spaces as a unit. So up 1 over 3 is equivalent to 1/3, and I know that my slope is positive. So I'm going to write 1/3 x minus 1, and there you have it. Thank you so much for joining me today. If this made sense, Don't forget to give me a thumbs up and have a great rest of your day.